Angel Reese. Angel Reese has gotten herself in a little bit of hot water.
While Caitlin Clark is in New Orleans taking care of business like a pro, Angel Reese just faced another setback, and just when you thought it couldn't get much worse, it gets even more embarrassing. Angel Reese's attempt to gain influence at the Super Bowl ended badly.
But to be versatile. I mean, obviously I'm a fashion girly, Vogue cover, Met Gala committee. Like, I just want young girls to know like anything is possible. Like, you can do whatever you put your mind to. Growing up, I was always into fashion. I was always into taking pictures, taking my mama clothes. Now she be stealing my clothes. But yeah, like just being able to be super versatile, unapologetic, on and off the court, and just tapping into it. So I love the culture girlies. Obviously, Coi Leray is my girl.
Caitlin Clark is out here getting her jersey retired, drawing more viewers than Angel Reese's entire unrivaled run, and the contrast between these two could not be more evident. Rather than preparing for her next unrivaled game, where she struggles to make a layup, she decided that the best course of action was to show up at the biggest sports event of the year and expose her chest in an attempt to steal the show. Spoiler alert, it didn't work.
The 6-foot guard from West Des Moines, Iowa, the reigning WNBA Rookie of the Year, and the greatest of all time, number 22, Caitlin Clark!
You would expect someone who is about to play another unmatched game with no one watching to be locked in, but Angel Reese showed up to the Super Bowl exposing herself in an attempt to steal headlines. You would think a player who was having trouble making a simple layup would be in the gym.
Unrivaled, make sure y'all tap in with Unrivaled. Pull up to some games, 3-on-3 the hottest. Stewie and Nafisa started the league, but we're all investors, so make sure y'all come to some games if y'all in Miami.
What was the purpose of becoming viral? To make a point. Whatever it was, it failed, and all she did was make herself appear desperate rather than working on her game. She's out here trying to gain influence, demonstrating once more that she's more interested in being a social media personality than a basketball player. And let's not forget the irony that she had the gall to criticize a teammate for failing to pass the ball when she's the biggest ball hogged in the WNBA. How does that work? You don't pass, you don't finish at the rim, and now you're at the Super Bowl hoping for attention.
So, happy Superb Owl Sunday for all of those who celebrate. And for Caitlin Clark, who's obviously at the game, she's going to have the most superb of all the owls. Because not only is she at the game, there is a huge Nike commercial being centered around Caitlin Clark and others.
Let's contrast that with Caitlin Clark, who is in New Orleans, appropriately attired, managing her business, and not out here cloud chasing or attempting to force a viral moment while Angel Reese was at the Super Bowl, making headlines for all the wrong reasons. Instead, she was concentrating on what truly matters for her career.
And then I'm gonna have but I'm a cut and resign. You know they be waving and resigning. Chicago Sky, they know I'm a GM.
And the outcomes are self-evident. Caitlin Clark's jersey retirement event drew more viewers than her entire unrivaled run. This is because Caitlin Clark is all about the game. She's breaking records, honing her craft, and making sure that when she takes the court, people want to watch her. On the other hand, she has earned the nickname the Rebound Queen because all she does is catch her own missed shots. Of course, Angel Reese will turn this into another victim narrative, which is her entire brand now. Rather than actually playing better, she will sit on her podcast with her mother and weep about how unfair the league is to her. It's politics, it's racism, it's sexism, everything, but in reality, it's her own incompetence. Rather than focusing on finishing at the rim, she would rather gripe about pay, endorsements, and everything else that garners attention on social media, whereas Caitlin Clark continues to win on and off the court.
Breathe new life into a struggling brand. After losing market share to Hoka and others, the company's turned to the meteoric rise of women's sports, particularly women's basketball, to spark a comeback. I don't know why they didn't do everything they could to get Caitlin Clark literally in the door. I reckon you could have got Caitlin Clark a year ago. You couldn't have got Caitlin Clark, I don't think, before the WNBA season. They should have been designing that logo a year ago. They should have had 100 prototypes ready for Caitlin. and being like, we've made about 100 of these for you. The reason is we want your signature shoe out this year.
Ultimately, there is an absurd gap between Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark. While her own league's popularity is plummeting, one is focused, respected, and setting records, while the other is out here embarrassing herself at the Super Bowl in an attempt to get attention. Angel Reese may continue to weep on her podcast, play the victim, and seek influence, but the reality is that Caitlin Clark is clearly superior, and the gap is just widening.
How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. How are you?
First, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
So you're a super smart woman. I have to ask, what's the smartest thing you've ever done?
Although Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese both joined the WNBA as rookies in 2024 and undoubtedly had a similar time in NCAA history, the notion that these two should even be compared is absurd. Caitlin Clark is a player with a once-in-a-generation talent whose influence and work ethic go beyond sports. Angel Reese is hardly competent enough to be relied upon by her own squad.
Yeah, the reason why we watching women's basketball is not just because of one person. It's because of me too, and I want y'all to realize that. Like, it's not just because of one person. A lot of us have done so much for this game, and Kennedy has been here before, obviously, but there are so many great players in this league that have deserved this for a really, really long time, and luckily, it's coming now.
It is disrespectful to Caitlin Clark to compare Angel Reese to her. While one is revolutionizing the sport and attracting millions of new followers to women's basketball, the other is attempting to remain relevant by playing the victim and focusing on social media interaction rather than real basketball success. There is no comparison to Caitlin Clark's dedication. She practices on her birthday while Angel Reese is out making excuses. When Caitlin Clark takes the court, she is locked in, honing her craft, fine-tuning her skills, and making sure she's always improving, which is why she keeps breaking records. She continues to draw sizable crowds because of this, which puts her in a class by herself.
6-foot guard from West Des Moines, Iowa, the reigning WNBA Rookie of the Year and the greatest of all time, number 22, Caitlin Clark.
On the other hand, Angel Reese is constantly complaining about why she doesn't receive the same respect, deals, or love, but the truth is that she doesn't deserve it. Respect is earned, not given, and when your primary focus is on being a social media star rather than winning basketball games, you don't have time to whine when people stop caring.
What's that?
Big Mama?
Made mine a double QPC, but a double queen.
Now she blocked it. Sure.
For years, people outside of die-hard fans didn't really care about women's basketball. The sport wasn't popular with mainstream sports fans, and the viewership and engagement were low. Then, let's face it, Caitlin Clark changed the game by herself, drawing in 1.1 million viewers. The facts don't lie. Angel Reese can't even get 100,000 people to care about her games in an unmatched league, but Caitlin Clark has an enormous fan base. Jersey retiring is a college jersey retirement, which is more than most WNBA games. While one performer is inspiring a new generation and creating history, the other is finding it difficult to remain relevant and blaming everyone but herself for her lack of recognition. Although Angel Reese may continue to talk, make excuses, and seem like the victim, it's obvious that she's not that good. Although she was a dominant player in college, she is now being exposed in the professional ranks. Caitlin Clark is thriving and in her own league. She is the reason that people are watching and that women's basketball is finally receiving the recognition it merits.
I just have nothing but great things to say about who she is as a person. You know, she's so welcoming and just so warm as an individual that she can have a conversation with anybody. She's cut from the same cloth as me in that regard. You know, us Midwesterners, we tend to just, accept everybody with open arms. And she was so kind to my family and everyone in the suite when she came to KC. So huge fans of Caitlin Clark in my family.
The gap between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese is massive, and it's only growing wider. She's simply another player who people are already ignoring. Angel Reese's entitlement isn't just a random personality trait. It's been cultivated and reinforced. If you listen to her mother on her podcast, you'll understand why she believes she deserves more than she actually does. Rather than accepting the reality that her performances are poor and negatively impacting the league, she and her mother continue to play the victim card, acting as though the WNBA should pay her more for simply existing rather than performing well.
You are criticized or critiqued in a different way than your peers.
Yeah.
And I've had to learn that as a parent and everything. And so I just take it with a grain of salt. And as I say, a lie doesn't care who tells it.
Yeah.
So I'm
The
just
real
like,
no.
Yeah, engage. It's engaged.
This is a reminder of reality. You get paid for creating results, not for complaining. If you're going to be upset about your pay, at least consider how you will affect the league. After all, how long do you think people will put up with watching you play complete nonsense for 2 hours? How can you expect networks to spend money airing a league full of players who can't shoot, finish, or create interest? The hard truth is that networks are losing money because of Angel Reese's spectacularly bad performances.
And Mabry comes up with the board. Long pass, perfect to Reese. She was unable to get it in.
Here's what Angel Reese and many of her peers refuse to acknowledge. The WNBA isn't even profitable. It's been on financial life support from the NBA for decades, and despite that, the league is still in debt, meaning that every paycheck that is given out in the WNBA is more than what the league can actually afford based on its revenue. Does Angel Reese expect networks to continue spending money on a product that fans aren't buying? The WNBA is already paying her more than she is worth in terms of business, and instead of being grateful for that, she's out there demanding more while delivering less spinning.
Spinning, and as the shot clock expires, the ball goes out of bounds and it belongs to New York.
This is the reason Caitlin Clark's predicament is even more astounding. When the WNBA fails to capitalize on Caitlin Clark because they are more interested in their own internal politics and narratives, they will have no one to blame but themselves when the league fails. The WNBA finally has a player who attracts millions of viewers, sells out arenas, and gets people genuinely invested in the sport. But instead of building the league around her, they are too busy playing politics and catering to entitled players like Angel Reese.
Unmeasurable. And I've spent my entire career trying to empower young women. That's what it's all about. But you've done more of that in the last 4 years than anybody could imagine. I've always said, if you can see it, you can believe it.
Because, let's face it, Caitlin Clark is the only reason the WNBA is even being discussed at this level right now. If they ignore her, fail to properly market her, and continue to give in to players who feel entitled to things they haven't earned, the WNBA will eventually be shut down. Women's basketball isn't some magical money machine where players get paid what they believe they deserve. Rather, it's a business, and Caitlin Clark is the business at the moment. Angel Reese is just a loud distraction. If she and other players in the league don't improve their performance and quit whining about their pay, guess what? They'll get exactly what they deserve. Nothing. If they don't realize that it's their loss, the only hope for the NBA is Caitlin Clark.